I mean, like, they got Cade coming. They got Cade Say it normal.
I filmed an intro to this but then I hated it so I deleted it. Haha, my name is Emma. This is my show, The Shot Circus. It is about basketball. This is the first episode and I don't know what I'm doing on here, lol. Please like, comment and subscribe. I love you.
So today's video is going to be a preview of the Eastern Conference. I thought we'd start in the East because that's where I am right now. And I'm just going to go over every team in the Eastern Conference, starting with the top 5 teams in the East, ranked in order. Then I'm going to go talk about mid-level teams and low-level teams. And for the 2 bottom tiers, I'm not going to rank them. I'm just going to kind of go over what my thoughts are. So remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get started. At number 1 in the Eastern Conference, I'm putting the Brooklyn Nets, just like everybody else in the world. And I'm not just saying that because I live in Brooklyn. I'm not from Brooklyn, and I also am not a Brooklyn Nets fan because every Nets fan that I've met is a bandwagon. Most people who live in Brooklyn are Knicks fans, and it's just like bandwagons who just want to root for a winning team. I don't like super teams, and I don't like bandwagons, so I actually don't like the Nets. But I must admit that they are the team to beat in the East. I mean, if you have James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant on a team together, they're going to be really good.
A few moments later.
Hey guys, it's me in editing. Just wanted to quickly touch base on this whole Kyrie situation. For those of you who haven't heard, I don't know what you're doing, but Kyrie will not be playing with the Nets until he either gets vaccinated or the New York law changes. Both are unlikely to happen anytime soon, so there might be a trade in the works. But as a Nets hater, I do really appreciate this move for the front office to say, hey, you're either going to play with us, like really, and be part of our team, or you're not going to play with us at all. And I really appreciate their dedication to committing to, chemistry, team chemistry, which is something that's really important on the super team. And I think that they're still number 1 in the East. But I do think with the 3 of them healthy together, they make an incredibly strong team. We didn't get to see a lot of that last season, which was a little disappointing because of injuries, but I'm hoping that this year we get to see a lot more of that because when we did see it, it was super exciting. I'm glad that they got Blake Griffin back. I think he adds a lot to the team. They did lose Jeff Green, which, I mean, I think he played a pretty big role in the team, and I think Paul Millsap is not as good as him, but he's also not like a horrible player either, so I think he's gonna do well. LaMarcus Aldridge is back, which the little that we saw of him last season, he looked really good. Patty Mills has been added. And with the Spurs last season, he was like a bit on and off when it came to shooting, but overall he's like a really good shooter and is gonna like add some spacing to the Nets. Claxton is good. Bruce Brown is good. I'm looking down to see if just anybody else was added. But like other than health concerns, which, you know, is a concern for every team, but, you know, health concerns, vaccine concerns, I think this team is a team to beat. Okay, at number 2, I have last year's champions, the Bucks. I'm a huge Giannis Antetokounmpo fan. I think he's a wonderful player. I love to watch him play. He's just so dominant that it's kind of insane. I think Drew Holiday is just what they needed to add to their team. They have Chris Middleton, who showed himself to be like an excellent playoff performer, and then Bobby Portis, who they re-signed, which I think was great because not only does he have a lot of like offensive and defensive capabilities, he also brings a lot of energy, especially when the team is like not doing so well or like later in the game. He brings some like toughness and energy, which is something that the Bucks really lacked a few seasons ago. So that's great. They did lose PJ Tucker, and it's like, I don't know how big of a problem that's going to be because he did make a big difference in the Nets series, but he's also like an older player. So I guess it's yet to be seen, TBD, but I don't think it's going to make them that much worse that they're not contenders anymore, even though Mike Budenholzer, he's a questionable coach, but I mean, he's clearly not that bad if they won a championship. So, I mean, I think they're going to do great things, and I'm excited to watch some Bucks basketball. At number 3, we have my Miami Heat. Yes, my favorite team, the Miami Heat. And you can see that I'm not biased, because if I was biased, I would put them at number 1, because in my heart, they're number 1 and we're winning the championship this year. But, you know, I looked at the facts and figures and used my logical brain and put them at number 3. I think that the addition of Kyle Lowry is really great. Kyle Lowry has been one of my favorite players of all time. Even though we had to lose my biological father, Goran Dragic, which is something I'm still not over, frankly. You know, it looks good. I think the right decision was made, no matter how much it pains me. They looked so good in the preseason, and I know it's just the preseason, but I think, you know, his chemistry with Bam looks great. I think that he gets along really well with Jimmy, which is going to be good. I also am glad that they extended Duncan Robinson and were able to keep Tyler Hero, because even though both of them had kind of like not great seasons last year, I do think that that was partially to do with like short turnaround, and I think that they're both really committed to improving. Like, listen, I'm no Tyler Hero apologist, overrater here in these streets, but he does seem like a hard worker, and I'm really excited to see what he does this season. I'm probably going to talk about the Miami Heat much longer than I talk about any team, but it's okay. It's my channel. We got PJ Tucker, who I think is really good. He's a great defensive player. He's a really tough player. I'm excited to see him. I mean, just what I'm seeing from the preseason, I'm excited, because that guy's like going crazy, and it's like, this is a preseason game. It doesn't matter, but this guy's like going nuts. Love that. I think Markieff Morris is a good addition too. I think he's a good like forward, which we can use. Then Caleb Barton, I think, could be like a sneaky, like good signing. I mean, he's not going to be like a great player, but I think he's going to add some depth. And then from the summer league, we saw Yurtseven be like really good, and then Strus has kind of been going off in the preseason and the summer league. And I think Yurt, the nickname that I've given him as, you know, somebody who I personally know, Yurt could be a good like third option for Bam, because the second option is Dwayne Dedmon, who was one of the few highlights of our embarrassing sweep last season. Yeah, but I think that, you know, we have some young players we can develop. Depth is still like a question, but I am very, very excited for the Miami Heat this season. And I think people are underrating us, is all I'm going to say. This is me being an optimist, okay? At number 4, I put the Sixers. And it's mostly because I love Joel Embiid. Like, I will fight for that man. I will fight for him. However, they are in a situation that has been much discussed, and I hope he doesn't get traded before this video is uploaded, with Mr. Benjamin Simmons. Hello, it's me again, editing. The 76ers, Ben Simmons, he's back, maybe? I still think that this is keeping them at number 4, right? That's where I put them, 4. Because it's not going to be good. Like, I think that Ben Simmons being back is better than not having Ben Simmons at all, I guess. But it's not good, right? He's upset a lot of his teammates, I'm sure. He's upset probably his coach. He's definitely upset the fans. So I'm not even sure what that's going to look like. But I don't know how back he is. Like, is he back because he's like, all right, you know, I want to play basketball? Or is he back because his like accountant sat him down and was like, hey, please go to work, or it's gonna be bad for you financially? So we don't know. And it looks like even if he is, you know, temporarily back, they're still gonna try to move him because he clearly doesn't really want to be there anymore. You know, I can't predict the future. I don't know what they're going to trade him for, but I think like even a team with like Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, Seth Curry, Danny Green, Matisse Thybulle, and Tyrese Maxey, like that's a good team. They could be 4th in the East, probably not though, but you know, they're a playoff team, I think. And it's clear that they're not going to get like a Ben Simmons caliber all-star player back in return. But I don't think that they're also like kind of doomed either. I think they should have taken the Malcolm Brogdon trade. You know, I've seen some interesting trades floating around, you know, from CJ or even for like some like D'Lo combination with the Timberwolves, which I think could be good. Like I said, you're not going to get a Simmons caliber player probably, but you are going to get a player who's probably less afraid to take shots in the bright lights and somebody who probably has a higher free throw percentage. So I just want something good for Joel Embiid. Oh well. At number 5, I have the Atlanta Hawks. I think I'm secretly a Hawks fan. You know, I was just very impressed by Nate McMillan's coaching and how quickly he was able to turn that team around. You know, Trae Young is really good. There was questions about whether or not, you know, John Collins and Trae Young could play together last season, but not last season, 2 seasons ago, but obviously during the playoffs, they showed us that they very much can. Then there's, you know, players with like a lot of potential, like Cam Reddish, and I'm just excited to see what they can do with Nate McMillan the whole year and building on that chemistry and that coaching style from last year. Because you know, having a coaching change in the middle of the year is tough. And you know, if Trae Young hadn't gotten injured in the Bucks series, like who knows what could have happened, really. I think Lou Williams is a good player, and he's like a good veteran, like who has like a tough mentality that like really helps the team out. And I think they're like a really young team, well coached, with a lot of room for improvement. Like we don't know what Trae Young's ceiling is right now. I guess we kind of do, but you know, I don't like to put limits on people. So I just think that this is scary. Like honestly, how talented and young they are, they are a very scary team. And I'm looking forward to see them play. And now we have the mid-level tier, which is teams that are good. Teams that are good enough to make the playoffs, but may not. It's just teams that like are good, but like that's it. They're good, but that's it, in a few words. And I'm starting that with my hometown Knicks. I'm not from New York, but you know, I live here. And you know, I think that they made some improvements during the off season for sure. And I think that Knicks fans should be very proud of their team. I think that Kemba Walker is a definite improvement at point guard. And I think that Fournier is a great signing, even though like a little bit overpaid, but I think that's just how much shooters are going for these days. Yeah, and I think that they're still a good team. I think the only problem is that Julius Randle is still your best player. And what we saw last season during the playoffs is that you can't win in the postseason with Julius Randle as your best player. However, the Knicks were so bad for so long, and now they're like actually pretty good. And so I think they're gonna be like stuck in kind of this like making the playoffs, but not really going anywhere with it for like a few seasons. But I think like given the fact that the Knicks have just like really not been doing anything for such a long time, like I think that Knicks fans should be proud, and I think eventually they're going to be able to like draw in a big star like a Zion or Dame or something else, and you know, get better and better. So I think that they're a good team, they're well coached, they're probably going to make the playoffs, and I'm going to watch some Knicks basketball. I might even go to a Knicks game, who knows. Next, I have the Pacers. I think the Pacers are a really confusing team because they have a lot of talent, like a lot of talent. You know, they have Karis LeVert, who's like a good player. They have Malcolm Brogdon, who was an all-star last year. Domantas Sabonis, who was also an all-star last year. Miles Turner, who's really good. TJ McConnell, who's like also a really decent player. But I think last year was probably, they really did not have a good time with like injuries, so that held them back a lot, and their coach was not that good. Now they have Rick Carlisle, who's at minimum a competent coach. He had won a championship, and I think that's going to do them good. But I think ultimately what they need to do, how many times am I going to say I think? Ultimately what they need to do is just pick who their guys are and start building around them. Because right now it's kind of like a mishmash of good players, but like no real direction. So is it going to be like Turner and LeVert are your guys, or Domantas Sabonis and Malcolm Brogdon are your guys? Just pick your guys, trade away the rest, and like start building a really good team. Because we know the Pacers can be good. You know, we saw the Pacers being good before. And that's all I want from them. But I am going to watch a decent amount of Pacers basketball. It was like really sad to see Karis LeVert miss so much of last season. Now he's back. I'm excited to see what LeVert and Sabonis do together. So yeah, I think the Pacers are, probably could be a playoff team if they just like get themselves together, no injuries. So yeah. Next on my list is the Charlotte Hornets. And I just think no matter what, the Charlotte Hornets are going to be a really fun team to watch this season. Obviously, we know LaMelo is really good, and he's only like 19, 20 years old. So he's only going to get better. And he's going to have hopefully a fully healthy season this season so that we can really watch him play. Hayward is good. Bridges is really good. And then I think that the Kelly Oubre signing is going to be really positive, because last year with the Warriors, there was a bit much that was expected from him, and that's why it didn't really work out. But, in this kind of less, not important, but like, third option kind of role, he's gonna do a lot better. And, Book Knight also seems like a really interesting rookie, so I'm excited to see how they develop him. And they're just a team with a high ceiling. I think they're going to continue to be good, continue to improve, and eventually attract other people and start building around LaMelo and just get better. So, Hornets fans, good for you. Next on my list of mid-level teams, we have the Boston Celtics. Now, I'm not in the camp of people that think you need to split Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown up right now. I think having two players who are both really good and on the same timeline is just super amazing, and the Celtics need to capitalize on that, and they haven't, which is very, very, very frustrating. They didn't do much in the off season, really. They signed Schroeder at like a big discount, which is really good for them. I think Dennis Schroeder is like a very capable point guard. I don't think it made them miles better than before. They don't have a competent center yet. Robert Williams had like flashes. I think he's good. I want to see what direction he takes and his improvements and all that, but I don't know. With the two star players that you have right now, you should be, or you could be competing for a championship, and Robert Williams right now is not the starting center on a championship level team, right? And so what they need to do is they need to fill the center spot to really get going somewhere. And, I think that maybe either like next season or next off season or, by the trade deadline, they might want to start considering trading Marcus Smart. Obviously he means a lot to the Celtics organization. He's a very good player, but the Smart, Tatum, Brown Celtics are not going anywhere. They haven't taken you anywhere, and I think it might be time to just be like, thank you so much for your services. You have been great. Love you, but bye. And last, in my mid-tier, which I probably should have put first, but it's not ranked, so it doesn't matter, are the Chicago Bulls. And I am incredibly excited to watch Chicago Bulls basketball this year. I really look forward to see what Lonzo Ball can do. I think the fit on the Pelicans was awkward, especially with Ingram there, and it didn't really give him like space to be a good player. And I think the coaching in New Orleans has always been very questionable. So now he has a competent coach. He's got a team that can really work well with him, with Zach LaVine. And I think that the addition of Vucevic was just like great. I think they needed a really good big. Vucevic is a really good big. And I'm hoping that now that they have the whole season to kind of mesh together, they're going to be really good. Obviously, they've been great throughout the preseason, just the preseason against really bad teams. But, they're a good team, I think. And, DeMar DeRozan was definitely not the guy for San Antonio. His play style was not compatible with like the San Antonio system, and having him as like this third option as a scorer is going to put him in a really good place to be more successful. And then, Caruso is going to be great off the bench. He's been great off the bench. I'm excited. I think that they also still have some like assets here and there that they could move around, towards the trade deadline or maybe for next season to get even better. So, Chicago Bulls fans, congrats. And now we move on to the low tier. And that is teams that, probably won't make the playoffs. I mean, they might, never say never. But they're teams that are kind of just like, they're not good. They're teams that are not good, basically. Okay, so first on this low level team list is the Raptors. I guess that if you wanted to put the Raptors in the mid tier, you could, hypothetically. And I have a very special place in my heart for the Raptors, and it's not just because my dad, Goran Dragic, plays there. I've been a huge Kyle Lowry fan for a long time, so I like watching him play for the Raptors, and just something about this like kind of like undiscovered talent, like low draft picks team being so good. Like it's just like, it's heartwarming, and I'm a sucker for like a underdog story, But yeah, I can't wait to see what OG and Fred VanVleet do now that they have bigger roles on the team with Kyle Lowry being gone. I think that Scotty Barnes seems really good. I was very surprised to see that they didn't go with Suggs, but the Raptors are just so well known for making very good draft picks. So, I trusted them with it, and it clearly seems to be going well so far. They have Precious Achiuwa now, who came from the Heat, and he was not good last season. But when he did have moments where you're like, all right, this guy has some like really raw talent that needs to be like molded and shaped up a little bit, which is, Toronto is a perfect place to do that. Then, Gary Trent Jr., he's great. I really like Gary Trent Jr. I think he's got a lot of potential and he's really young. I think the only thing that's missing is like a good five, for them to be like a more formidable squad is a good five. And they don't have that right now. So, and like I know like Precious Achiuwa could play the five, but why? Like I think he's just much more well suited to be a power forward. And I think, Pascal Siakam has had a couple of down seasons. But I still think he's really good. I just think, obviously there was a global pandemic going on. Like I, in a global pandemic, can barely get out of bed, okay? So I'm not surprised that certain players took dips during the pandemic and the short turnaround of the season, but I still think Pascal Siakam is really good. Having him on this team is really good for the Raptors, and I think this squad could like sneakily make the play-ins, Never say never. Next on my list, we have the Detroit Pistons, and I have beef with the Pistons because I'm a big Jeremy Grant fan, but I'm not a big enough fan to like sit through an entire game of Pistons basketball. Like I just don't want to. And they have Cade Cunningham, which is good, and they signed Heat legend Kelly Olynyk, I guess, and they have like Sadiq Bey and like other young talent that is going to be good, but I just don't know. I don't know what their direction is. I don't know what their plans are. It's not like OKC where they're like, all right, they're tanking and they're getting all these picks and they have SGA, and then one day they're going to be so good and we're all going to be like, what the fuck, like OKC's the best. But it's like, I don't feel that way about the Pistons, and I don't know why. Next, we have the Orlando Magic, and I feel a similar way than I do with the Pistons. It's like, I just don't care. They have talent. Like, Suggs is like, they got really lucky with him. RJ Hampton looked good on the Nuggets. Mo Bamba is not somebody you should be giving up on just yet. But like, what are you doing? The Magic have just sucked for like a long time, and it's kind of like, all right, well, what are you doing? What are we doing? Like, I'm not against watching like a team that's like definitely like not tanking, but not looking to be successful right now. I'm not against that if they have a direction, if we know where they're going. But I don't know where the Orlando Magic is going, so why would I watch Orlando Magic basketball? Next on my list, we have the Wizards, who made the playoffs last year. But that was only because Russell Westbrook is like a triple-double machine. I do not see Bradley Beal carrying, am I still recording? Yeah, carrying a team to the playoffs. You know, KCP, Kuzma, Harrell, and Dinwiddie, they're all formidable players. I'm not going to talk shit about them, but they're no Russell Westbrook, even if you combine them all together. They're no Russell Westbrook. And if I was Bradley Beal, I would request a trade. But he has shown us that he's maybe not the, sharpest tool in the shed. I mean, they're just a boring team. I like Rui Hachimura. He could be good on another team, not the Wizards. I'll probably watch Bradley Beal highlights, but that's it. And last on my list, we have the Cavaliers. And what I have to say about the Cavaliers is free Jared Allen. I don't know why I love Jared Allen so much. I've loved him since his Nets days. I'm just very fond of him. He's very talented. He's a very talented player. And, they're just paying him $20 million a year on the Cavs for rot. Essentially. Because what are you doing? The Cavaliers, please respond. What are you guys doing? Why do you have 75 centers on your roster? Lauri Markkanen, who sucks. Then they signed Taco Fall, and then they also have Evan Mobley. So it's what are we doing here? What's going on? I just want to see Jared Allen on an actual good team, or at least a team that will develop him more. Because I think if he was in a team that in which he fit in more with their style of play, I think he could be a really good center. He could be a player who goes to Toronto and does incredibly well there with their development staff. Jared Allen aside, Colin Sexton and Darius Garland are really good, obviously, and they did really well last season, but I just don't trust the Cavs with young talent. I just don't. I don't trust them to develop them into stars, to properly utilize them. And yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what the Cavaliers, I don't expect them to do anything. And I'm probably not going to watch a ton of Cavaliers basketball. All right, so that being said, that's my video. That's it. That's the whole video. I'm going to be putting up another video soon talking about the Western Conference that will be uploaded before the season starts. So, you can have a preview of that. Thank you so much for keeping up with probably the bad lighting and the really choppy editing and all of that. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon. So please comment, subscribe, and be good. Goodbye.